Hey guys, it's Alyssa, the hopeless romantic redhead.
And I'm Danielle, the whodunit detective.
And welcome to Main Character Syndrome. If you feel like you're the main character in your life, you are at the right place. So Danielle and I like to start off this podcast by saying what our main character moment was. Danielle, did you have one?
You know, this week, I wouldn't say anything stands out too much.
Mm-hmm.
We went to an arena, like indoor football game Saturday, and that was an experience.
Oh, do tell.
It's not a good story.
Oh.
There was a fight on the field. Some
Oh,
football players were
wow.
punching each other, so that was entertaining.
It's like a Friday Night Lights in real life.
Yeah, but I think we're going to talk about It Ends With Us today.
Uh-huh.
And there was an It Ends With Us moment.
Oh,
where I saw
no.
a husband who did not seem to be taking good care of his wife and children.
Yikes. That is no bueno.
So that wasn't great. But other than that, went to the pool, got a really good sunburn that I'm not happy I got. My legs are like on fire right now. And that's crazy because I'm like a sunscreen queen.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always the person that's like, are you wearing sunscreen? Did you reapply?
Yeah.
And then we went to the pool, Andrew and I put sunscreen on everywhere except my legs because I was like, we're not going to be out here too long. And I was just lazy.
Lobster legs?
Yeah. I felt pretty terrible. How about you?
That's amazing. Well, I also got my fair share of pool time, but I actually got to go out to the Ozark Mill. They invited me out, Finley Farms, and I got to try everything on their menu. It was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I tell you like everything, I mean appetizers, entrees, dessert, the whole shebang. It was phenomenal. I felt like a main character in a movie.
Yum. They have really good food down there too, I've heard.
They do. And the scenery is gorgeous.
Awesome.
Yeah. So we are going to be talking about kind of like a little report. So Danielle, what are you reading now? What did you just finish reading? And what are you reading next?
Right now I'm reading Mother-Daughter Murder Night.
Mm-hmm.
It's been going pretty good. It's, a little bit of a murder mystery. And I will say this one kind of has me stumped a little bit on who did it.
Really? You can't figure out who did it yet?
No, my ideas keep changing. I'm like, well, maybe it's this person, maybe that's this person. And I think there's like one missing piece that my mind's not putting together.
Uh-huh.
So it's been going pretty well. Definitely a little brain teaser. But that's what I'm reading now. Next, one of my coworkers actually gave me this book. It's called Bad Summer People.
Oh.
And I wrote down a little synopsis of it. It seems really good. Jen Weinstein and Lauren Parker rule the town of Salacombe, Fire Island every summer. They hold sway on the beach and the tennis court and are adept at manipulating people to get what they want. Their husbands, Sam and Jason, have summered together on the island since childhood. Despite lifelong grudges and numerous secrets, their one single friend, Rachel Wolf, is looking to meet her match, whether he's the tennis pro or someone else's husband. Uh-oh. But even with plenty of gossip to talk about, the season starts out quietly until a body is discovered face down on the boardwalk.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I'm reading right now is called The Women by Kristen Hanna. It is on Book Talk, and it's really about a woman who is in the Army Nurse Corps in the 1960s in Vietnam. And it's really, really good. I mean, she was a sheltered girl growing up. Parents gave her everything. Her brother went into the Navy, and then she's like, well, I want to follow him. I want to make a difference. It has a little bit of a naive kind of mindset, and she enlists to follow her brother. Then her brother dies before she's even shipped out. And so she is dealing with A, the loss of her brother, and B, she signed up to be in the Army as a nurse. And so instead of getting like combat point of view, you get like from a nurse's point of view in the Vietnam War, which is really insane.
That's interesting.
So that's a really good one. That's what I'm reading right now. What I just finished, and we'll talk about it, is It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover.
Yep.
It is being made into a movie that comes out this weekend, actually. So stay tuned for that. We'll be doing a review on that movie. And then what I'm reading next is called Wren in the Holly Library by K.A. Lind. And I have no idea what this book is about. I bought it just because of the cover and the sprayed pages. Like, I'm not even kidding. It's gorgeous.
The sprayed pages, man. I think that's going to be a huge trend for a lot of
I
books in
think
the
it's already
future.
started. I mean, this
Yeah.
last year I've seen so many sprayed edges.
You have?
Yes.
I have not yet, but I guess I haven't been looking too closely.
Yeah, I have 3 books, I think, with sprayed edges that are not Fourth Wing.
Wow.
Right?
I don't think I have any on my shelf behind us.
You need some. You need some.
Hey, the new Onyx Storm that comes out next year, I am getting the sprayed edges on that.
Yes. Oh, I already have the deluxe one ordered. I already had it in Amazon when
Mhm.
actually like Amazon came out with it and it was the mystery book and
Mhm.
nobody knew what it was. It just said
Look at
like
you.
the author. Or actually it didn't even say
Maybe
the author.
you're
It
a
said the
whodunit
publisher.
detective.
I was a whodunit detective with this one. I also predicted the last one, the holiday edition. I knew it was going to be a Fourth Wing book, but I didn't know like what it was going to be.
Mhm.
But it ended up being the one with Satan's point of view at the end. And so this one, it came out and it was like Red Tower Publishing. I was like, it's Fourth Wing related. It
Yeah.
has to be. Even though there was no book cover, no title. And I was like, it's got to be the third Fourth Wing. And it was.
You need to try your hand at murder mysteries.
I think so. Okay, so let's get into today's topic. We are going to be talking about It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover, which, as we said, the movie is released this weekend. So that's going to be really fun. But we have to warn you guys, there are some trigger warnings. There's going to be sexual violence.
Sexual, physical violence, as well as the mention of self-harm in this book. So if you kind of can't stand maybe hearing about that, talking about it, unfortunately, this might not be the episode for you because we don't want to heighten any emotions maybe that we can't handle in this moment.
Also depression. Lots of depression.
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to talk about some discussion points that we have right now. Danielle, how did you feel about that ending?
I was very happy with the ending. I was so nervous throughout the book that, spoiler alert, Lily was going to stay with Ryle. I was like, I really hope this book does not end that way, or that it doesn't end with him beating her to death.
Yeah. No, I mean, that book could have ended so many ways. And I honestly, up until that point, thought she was going to take him back. And I'm so glad she didn't.
Several points I thought she was going to die. I was, my emotions were really high. My heart was racing reading it at some points. So I was really happy with the ending. And I was really happy that there was kind of that breakup between Ryle and Lily that didn't escalate.
Yeah. So if you remember It Ends With Us, it is about Lily. She grew up with parents who were in an abusive relationship. Her dad was abusive to her mom. And then she somehow finds herself in an abusive relationship with this man named Ryle. And so if you were in Lily's situation, what would you have done?
You know, I think it's always so easy to kind of be the person on the outside that is like, oh, I wouldn't have stayed with him that long. But what I loved about this book was kind of how it took you through Lily's emotions and her reasoning. And it was a lot of it really good reasoning for her staying with him. Like after the first act of abuse, it's like, oh, like that was just a one-time thing. It was an accident. You know, emotions were high.
I mean, yes, his hand is his career. So I could see it.
I was a sympathizer with Ryle in that moment. I was like, I mean, abuse is like any type of abuse or violence is never okay. But I mean, I understood those heightened emotions that he had. So I would like to think that I would have left earlier than she did. But like Colleen Hoover kind of says, you know, every situation's different. And there's, you know, a million reasons that so many people can find to stay, to kind of look over maybe those bad moments.
I've always said that, you know, if I was ever in a situation like that, like I would leave immediately after the first hit, the first insult. When in reality, in Lily's position, I mean, she loved this man so much already that it was so hard to leave something over maybe an accident or something that only happened one time.
Yeah. I would have been pissed had my girlfriend been laughing when I just burned my hand. Like, even if I wasn't a surgeon, you know, had I just burned my hand that bad, you know, I would have been really mad if they had been laughing. Probably not mad enough to hit them or push them.
Yeah.
But I was like, that's really bad.
Yeah.
It was bad for her to be laughing. But I mean, she was drunk.
Yeah. Well, and then when she's pushed down the stairs, I'm like,
Oh
okay,
my gosh.
okay, this is. And when he's like, you fell, I'm so sorry. I'm like, no, no.
That is the moment that I would have left.
Yes.
I feel really confident in that answer.
Mm-hmm.
Like, had I woken up and known that my boyfriend pushed me down the stairs, I'd have been like, okay, I'm leaving now.
Yeah. And you could tell that's what she was feeling. But then his remorse hit her. And then he told her the story of how, he accidentally shot his brother when he was younger with a gun that he found in the house.
Yeah.
Still does not excuse his behavior.
No.
But seeing that he may get these blackout moments where he can't control himself, I mean, that is a mental health issue and that is real. But get some help.
Get some help. And he's not receiving help in this book. And it's like when you're going, wait, actually, no, I think he did say, didn't he say maybe that he'd been seeing a therapist since he was young?
Oh, like a counselor, yeah.
Yes. Okay, so never mind. I take that back. He did say he was seeing someone. But man, I mean,
get some more help.
When your problems are that bad, I think you really do need to take a step back and not be getting into relationships like that. Everyone deserves love, most people. But yeah, so I think he was on the right path when he was like, I only do one night stands. I was like, yeah, actually, that's probably really good for you.
Yeah, that's probably the best choice for you, Ryle, unfortunately, no matter how hot you are. I will say, I really, really liked Ryle in the beginning. What did you feel about Colleen Hoover making Ryle likable in the beginning?
I think it's like so many men who are abusive in relationships. Yeah, there's something about them. Like, they are charismatic and
normal.
Yeah, a lot of them are. So I really liked him, and I kind of knew that his character was going to become the villain a little bit before I read the book. So I was kind of disappointed when he became a surgeon, when he's a surgeon, because my husband's a surgeon. And so I was like, man, don't give surgeons a bad rap.
Yeah, this man's a neurosurgeon, like the top of the top. This is like the creme de la creme crop that you want in a man.
Yeah. And she even says several times, Lily does, she's like, he's a surgeon.
He's a surgeon.
Oh, him in scrubs. I totally understood the scrub thing.
Oh, yeah.
I've been married to my husband for over a year. We've been, dating for over 3.5 years now. And even still, when I see him in scrubs, I'm like, oh, man.
Excuse me, is it getting hot in here?
Someone turn a fan on.
No, there was one scene, though, and he used the stethoscope, and I was like, oh, okay, my God.
Let me tell you, I don't know about every surgical specialty, but I'm pretty certain that neurosurgeons do not use stethoscopes.
Probably not, but it was a hot scene, so I'm not mad.
It was, but my brain immediately went to that, and I was like, I feel pretty confident that he's not the one that uses the stethoscope.
Yeah, it's, you know what? It's just there for fun.
Yeah.
So does reading the author's note where Colleen talked about her parents' relationship and abusive father change your perspective of the book?
I don't think so. I think it made me really respect Colleen Hoover more for opening up about this personal part of her life, and her mom for letting her kind of open up about basically her life story, kind of, even though it did have some fictional aspects of it, and these are fictional characters. They were based off of real people, and I think that was really inspiring to kind of open up about that.
That was exactly my mindset, was that yes and no, because knowing that it was based on a true story, and like the kitchen scene, that was based off of a real event, and that made me kind of look at it like, wow, like these things happen in real life, but also they're fictional characters. So I got kind of a perspective of both, but I, again, really respect Colleen Hoover for being able to tell that story of her mother so others don't experience the same thing.
And then also, I think she mentioned in that note too about kind of having these feelings for Ryle and all of these characters, and wanting to change things up and wanting to turn him around, but knowing that that's not the story that needs to be told, because so many stories do not end like that.
Yeah, I know. I was kind of hoping that Ryle would learn after the first one, but as many women in that situation, they also hope, and it doesn't turn out that way.
Yeah.
All right. Do you think Atlas and Lily will end up happily ever after?
I have not read It Starts With Us, and
Uh-huh.
you told me beforehand that that's kind of about them,
Yeah.
right? Okay, so I haven't read that one yet. I like to hope so. Man, I just love Atlas so much. Like the entire book I was reading, I just like wanted to wrap my arms around him and just give him a big hug. And I'm like, you, sir, are the main character. You are the man that every woman deserves. And so I hope so.
Which, like, Atlas's character was something I wasn't expecting when I read It Ends With Us, because I thought it was just about an abusive relationship. There was so much more. So we get, not only do we get the domestic violence between Lily's mother and her father and Lily and Ryle, but we also got the domestic violence of Atlas and his family and being a child going through that.
And then being abused by Lily's dad.
Exactly. Yeah.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's like hints leading up to that moment. And so I was expecting Lily's dad to beat the crap out of him. But then when she was like, he came in with a baseball bat and basically beat him within an inch of his life, I was like, holy cow.
But then, because he's a man in power, he's the mayor. I think he's the mayor. Like, nothing happened to him. He had the police in his pocket.
Right. They say he saved his daughter.
Yeah, from the homeless trash that ended up, like, convincing her to sleep with them. I was like, are you kidding me? Like, does this actually happen in real life? And if so, we need to do better.
I was like, standing up for Lily. I'm like, yeah, good for you for not speaking at your father's funeral.
Yeah.
Good for you for keeping your mouth shut, because I would have been like, if my dad had been like that, I would have just went full on. He was a terrible person. This is all the crap that he did. He beat my mother and was not a good guy. And yeah.
I think she did that out of respect for her mom, too, to not embarrass her as well. There was something that she said when she was talking with Ryle, and Ryle asks her, were you close with your dad? And she said, I loved him as a daughter, but I hated him as a human.
Yeah.
And she didn't want her child to go through that. And that's why she ultimately chooses to end things with Ryle, which I think is so strong of her.
Yeah. And I mean, that's kind of goes with the title of the book. It ends with us. It's up to us to break that cycle.
As we were talking about the title, why do you think the title is It Ends With Us?
Because I think, it's up to us to break those cycles and to recognize, there are changes to be made in this world. Within our relationships, we need to be kinder to one another. But then also, you also can't ignore the fact that about Atlas, how he was homeless.
Yep.
And he's just kind of one of those cases that falls underneath like the rug, where he's like a young adult because he's 18. So I think It Ends With Us is such a fitting title to kind of talk about these societal problems and bring them to light. Yeah.
I also agree. I think it's about breaking the cycle of domestic violence, and it ends with Lily and Ryle and her parents, and she's not going to bring that into her child's life.
Yeah.
So that ending was crazy. I mean, the third act of domestic violence, I was like, oh my gosh, he's going to kill her.
Oh, yeah. Ugh.
That was
that moment
so hard.
Where he has her down on the bed and she thinks that he's about to do something unfathomable to her.
Just like what his dad was about to do to her mom.
Yeah, what the dad did to the mom, I'm pretty sure.
Not yet. Lily
stopped it?
Lily made the noise of the door closing, and then he stopped it.
Oh, yeah. In that moment, I just like wanted to cover my ears because I was listening to the book, and I was just like, oh, this is so hard. With the mother, with Lily, I was just like, no. It was painful.
It was very painful. But you know what? Some of us need to read something like this to not be so quick to judge. And I think this book does a really good job of showcasing domestic abuse in relationships and the overall impact of it, because a lot of people, including myself, I'm quick to judge, like, why don't they just leave?
Yeah.
Why can't they just leave? Why would you put yourself through that? And it's like, it's not as easy as that looks. There are a lot of elements to it. each domestic violence case is completely different from the other.
Yeah. And I mean, there can still be so much love there, and love is such a powerful thing, and it cannot always be right. You can love really wrong people. And I think that's definitely the case here, and that's brought to light. And it's just not that easy. You might not have enough money. You might be just kind of in this really bad financial situation, or a situation where they kind of control your life. And you can see the red flags that had started to develop in Lily and Ryle's relationship. And I wrote down some of them because there were so many red flags leading up to the abuse that maybe were small at first, and then they got bigger and bigger and bigger.
Like the chair at the beginning when they met.
Yeah. Like, oh, yeah, he's kicking a chair around and beating the crap out of it. Would
seems like a little bit of a violent person.
Just a little
bit.
So yeah, it's not always easy to leave those relationships, but I think this book hopefully helped some people kind of be able to point out some of those red flags. My first one that I wrote down was him messaging her a bunch of times, asking if she was awake, and then being like, I'm at your apartment. I'm like coming up the stairs now.
Yeah.
While that can seem like maybe cute and sweet, like oh,
spontaneous.
Yeah.
It's kind of creepy.
No, that is creepy. And that's not really okay.
Yeah, give you a heads up. Say, hey, can I come over? Like, don't expect that you can just pop by.
Yeah. So that was kind of one of the first situations where I was like, ooh, that's kind of gross. I wouldn't like that. And then I put, obviously, when he abuses the chair, and then he shows like this deep desire to be in control and not being okay when he doesn't have it.
Which, like, maybe being a neurosurgeon plays a part into that. But still, like, there are a lot of things, like, he wants to control in Lily.
Yeah.
That isn't okay.
Yeah. And then, like, when he buys them an apartment without talking to her first.
Yeah, that was wild.
That was crazy. And that's also a really big sign of someone who's, like, taking away your kind of financial freedom in a sense, but like your home freedom. Like he took Lily's own personal apartment away from her, so she didn't have somewhere she could easily go to if things went wrong.
Yeah. And when Atlas came into the picture, I knew he was going to go into like this jealous fit of rage.
Oh yeah. Like not being okay with your girlfriend and then wife having like friendships and like maybe opposite sex friendships. It's not okay. I will say, though, there is kind of a gray area because her and Atlas have slept together. I do think that that's kind of an exception. So I kind of sympathize with Ryle with that, but I think he took it to the extreme.
Oh, for sure. When he read those journals and he just went AWOL.
Yeah. Like that. I mean, that was forever ago.
High school.
You know, when I moved in with Andrew, it was a little bit before we got married. And he still lived in a different city. So he was coming and meeting me in like another month while I moved into our house that we were about to move into. And it was a house that had a bunch of his old stuff in it. So it was his parents' old house, and he had like little memorabilia, and there was this one giant box in the room. And I asked Andrew, I was like, hey, your mom said that this is a box of some of your things. Can I like unpack it? And he was like, yeah, sure.
Oh my gosh, you asked permission?
I know, right? It's so hard.
Wow, what a concept.
And in there was like little like memorabilia, maybe that other girlfriends had got him in the past. There was a scrapbook that a girlfriend had made him many years ago.
Oh my gosh, I bet that was fun to look through, though.
I will say I didn't ask Andrew if I could look through that. But it also didn't like piss me off. I was like, oh,
you don't want to go beat him up over it.
Yeah, and I actually even sent him a picture afterwards, and I was like, whoa.
Yeah. Oh, I'm pretty sure there's still like in my box memorabilia, there's probably a little school picture of like my first crush ever with a bunch of hearts around it.
Yeah.
Like that means nothing now.
No. And like I didn't make a big deal about it. And afterwards, I sent him that picture. He was like, you can throw that out. And I was like, are you sure? Like, are you sure? Like, it really doesn't bother me that if you want to keep it. Like, I mean, that's your past. I don't think you have feelings for this girl anymore. So I feel like that's how things should be. Like, if someone wants to keep some of that memorabilia, maybe it's not because they're holding on to those emotions, but it's just maybe they were a big part of your life. And
that thing, I think that goes with Lily's situation too, is like, her Dear Ellen letters, which I absolutely thought were so cute.
That's awesome.
They were part of her life, and also witnessing her mom's abuse, also dealing with Atlas and helping him through his abuse. And so, yes, it was her first love, but also it was like her life going through that.
Yeah. Yeah. I couldn't imagine having have to let go of something like that. Like some of those old journals, her letters like that. I mean, you're absolutely right. I didn't even think about that, about how it was not just a story about her love, but about the abuse.
Yeah.
And her getting through it and her stopping it sometimes and her just kind of letting out these emotions. And that was her form of healing, I'd say. And reading those was definitely healing to her, I'd say.
Yeah. And when you read It Starts With Us, she has a healing process that she does where she writes what Ryle did to her, and she has to continually go back to it and remind herself that this is what he did.
Yeah.
And he's not going to change.
Yeah.
So that was It Ends With Us. The movie comes out this weekend. If you watch it, please let us know what you thought. If you have any answers to our discussion questions, please let us know on social media. Main Character Syndrome Pod. For now, to the readers who listen, we'll see you later.
Bye, everyone.